Team, look out!
Never let your guard down.
Thank you. Remind me, I owe you a drink later. We can toast to my health.
All the way back in May of last year, I was messaged by a developer, part of an indie SRPG project, letting me know about the game they were working on. With a promising premise and clearly a bunch of effort put into it this early on in its development cycle, I responded that, and I quote, "This project looks awesome, and that I'll keep an eye out for it." And boy, am I glad that interaction happened. Over the past few weeks, I've been playing builds of the game leading up to its release, speaking with the developers themselves, and even offering my own feedback as a player. Having even this small role to play with Ocean Drive Studio, a Korea-based indie game developer team working on their first game, Lost Eidolons, has been an absolute blast thus far, and I am thrilled to platform the game and talk about why you should all give it a try. Hello fellow turn-based SRPG fans, I am Fargast, and today I'll be talking about the sponsor of today's video, Ocean Drive Studio, and their first game, Lost Eidolons. The story is set in Artemisia in the midst of a civil war due to the deepening corruption and neglect trickling down from the iron rule of Emperor Ludovictus. In this chaotic continent rife with rising rebellion, you play as the strapping young lad Eden, a mercenary who, through unforeseen circumstances, is thrust unexpectedly into the conflict in ways he must quickly adjust to, and through these events, must shoulder responsibilities far more consequential than some garden variety merc. This is a bloody, gritty take on the SRPG genre, and the story is not afraid to flex its ability to weave complex situations fueled by those wishing to gain the upper hand through political and military might. This story comes along with a backstory that is influenced by the mythos of the four symbols of the Chinese constellations. Coupled with this story is a beautifully orchestrated soundtrack by the talented composer Clark Aboud, the brilliant mind behind the score of games such as Slay the Spire and Factory Town. Lost Eidolons is an SRPG inspired by Fire Emblem, and gameplay-wise, Three Houses players will feel right at home. On the gameplay front, you can expect nuances and unique takes on a ton of SRPG mechanics that altogether make Lost Eidolons stand out from its counterparts. On the grid, you have the cornerstones of the genre, walking through various terrain types and penalties, gauging enemy ranges, equipping the proper weapon to have an advantage over the enemy, positioning certain units in ways to kite enemy units to break up their ranks. But what you should also expect are unique spins on gameplay that make it stand out. An in-depth and accessible class system, unique elemental interactions, very diverse and customizable sets of spells with support of light magic, tactical dark magic, and powerful elemental magic, well-balanced active and passive skills, and very interesting monster combat that legitimately demands careful planning and teamwork to defeat. For example, attacks imbued with lightning, poison, fire, water, and wind can be doubly painful for the enemy if used correctly. You can use a water attack followed up by wind or ice to freeze an enemy in place, stopping them entirely from acting for a turn. Or you can unleash a poison attack on an enemy and follow that up with a fire attack to see them actually blow up. But it works both ways because sometimes elements interact in ways that won't be as beneficial. Using a fire attack on a soaked enemy renders the fire attack less effective. These are the kinds of tactics you'll need to consider to thrive in the game. It's like a marriage of fundamental Fire Emblem gameplay with field interactivity of the Tactics series. Here was some combinations of actions that I felt were cool to showcase. I will also provide context for what I did.
Faith will never betray me.
Let's get it done.
It's up to me.
Francisco the Bold has arrived!
It's a shame, spilling blood on such a nice day.
Whether words or swords, I miss nothing.
I hope this helps.
Not everyone can be forgiven.
Monster battles are something I particularly want to highlight. Three Houses' monster barriers are something my viewer base will likely compare it to. This is what I first did as well. But the difference with Lost Eidolons is that instead of breaking the barriers of a monster until you rattle them, you need to match the ever-changing weapon type weakness and stack chain combinations which deal more and more damage for each consecutive strike. But you also need to be wary of which direction you target a monster from, because they will rotate facing their opponent, shifting their type weakness tiles. The trick is using their shifting targeting to your advantage. There's more depth to monster fights than just keep wailing on the big enemy until it dies.
Luck is on my side.
I'm 10 chapters in, and at no point did I think the map design was needlessly bloated in tile size, nor did I think any map thus far is aesthetically bland. The map designers seem to have a strong grasp at what makes maps fun to play on. They have a good use of space, good enemy placement, good terrain placement, and this is especially good because the terrain in this game serves the extra purpose of being manipulated through elemental interactions. The game flow is also something that I really enjoy. You not only have the option to fast forward map and battle animations or outright turning them off, but you also can set enemy turns to auto end, or just skip them outright. If you know what to expect from the enemy, it really helps pace the maps by simply adding less waiting time. The button prompts for keyboard at least also helps speed up the tempo of the gameplay, and when you start to have the prompts down pat, the maps go by faster than in other SRPGs. Not to get too lost in the winds with praise, there are aspects of the gameplay that I think could be improved from a user/quality of life perspective that I'm hoping the developers will address in future patches. There's no minimap, and that at-a-glance feeling does feel like it would help just to have on the side to get more perspective of the enemy forces and the map you're playing on. I also think that the game can make use of auto controls/orders that its counterparts have. Things like pursuing the enemy without heed, following Eden, or simply auto-waiting to help the pace even more. This game feels uniquely fast-paced, but this could raise the bar even more given it does a lot to reduce waiting and empty turns already. Thankfully, the developers are incredibly receptive, and I'm I'm hopeful that something like these could be added in the future. I want to also note that I played this on PC with a keyboard and mouse, so I can't speak to how the UI and navigation feels on a controller. I know some people had feedback on issues with the camera and navigating through menus and equipping items being slow and clunky, but my experience with the mouse and keybinds has been pretty good. As for my own computer specs, I'm running a Ryzen 9 3900, an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti. So my experience with frame drops was sometimes noticeable in animation transitions, but the game never slowed down terribly for me. If you do end up running into lag issues, there are graphic settings that can help manage it. I wanted to mention how I'm actually playing it and what my PC specs are, because it's not like a Switch game where we are all bound to the same restrictions. Outside the tactical combat lies an impressively in-depth camp system where you'll be spending plenty of time customizing units, buttering up visitors to your camp to recruit them, completing quests, and doing all the necessary team management you can think of, even up to camp expansion to unlock even more mechanics within. This is also the place where you can get to know your allies more through building up rapport. Every playable character is well voiced and written, greatly fleshing out the camp and the game even more. There's a lot of charming, well-written, and memorable dialogue moments and characters. It's seriously impressive.
You mentioned something about destiny calling you here?
I did, though it would be more precise to say, I have been seeking out my destiny for some time, and my search has led me here.
Are you being metaphorical, or is this a magic thing?
The two are often one and the same. Here, take this.
Huh? What is it?
An orb.
Obviously. What is it for?
Pondering.
You want me to ponder an orb?
You are free to do as you wish, as am I. And yet, at the same time, we are each but falling stones in the avalanche of fate. But does the stone cause the avalanche, or the avalanche the stone? The eternal paradox.
Okay. So, is it dangerous?
Immediately, no. Existentially, perhaps.
I don't want this thing. Take it back.
Impossible. The pondering has already begun.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take this to the blacksmith and have him crack it open with a big hammer. Ponder that.
I intend to.
Well, it's no kind of magic I'm familiar with.
So what? She's just messing with my head?
No, there's definitely some kind of magic to this thing. See how it pulses whenever you talk? Could be she needs a bit of your essence. She might have given you this just so you'd carry it around for a while. Let it attune to your energy.
Hang on a second. Are you saying the orb is pondering me?
If you want answers, go back and ask the right questions. And whoever it is, for God's sake, recruit them. I'll take all the weird magic we can get.
Let me get this straight. You gave me an orb to ponder, but really the orb was pondering me, and now you want to ponder the orb. I give up. Just take it. So what? I'm some kind of chosen one?
Not necessarily. You could, for example, be a very important corpse, meant for another to trip over during a critical battle.
Was that a joke?
Absolutely not. I do not joke of destiny. Now be gone. The mysterious blind fortune teller has more mystical secrets to contemplate.
And Fire Emblem and Three Houses fans especially, as several voice actors from the series make a splash here. Joe Zija as the wise and mature Leon.
That woman doesn't lift a finger unless there's money in it. Why risk your life for the rebels?
Brittany Cox as the politically astute and magically adept Marshall.
My monthly report is overdue. The Capitol won't appreciate an Inquisitor going missing in your domain.
Cassandra Lee Morris as the feisty Chelsea.
So, these are the big, tough rookies everyone can't shut up about, huh? Let me guess. Scouting duty? No, that can't be it. This one's too thick around the middle.
And Chris Hackney as both Albrecht and the ever-determined priest Dane.
I've seen what life has to offer survivors of war. Some of them never fully heal. I can lessen that burden. If I can help, what right do I have not to?
Among a ton of other talented voice actors that lift the impressive writing up even higher. Now, of course, the graphics. Upon the release of its trailer, it was criticized for its graphics. And yes, the devs know that the aesthetics of the game, while stylistically a grittier, much more realistic take on the genre, does look dated for 2022. But if you ask me, and this isn't because they're sponsoring this video, you shouldn't let that turn you off. The only thing dated graphics mean is that they're dated. It doesn't take away from the incredibly fun gameplay and engaging story and characters. Not to mention, each character is still able to carve out their own unique look regardless. Besides, the combat animations and sound effects are especially well done. It's all snappy and visually and audibly satisfying. For some, it may take a bit to get over the graphics, but there's a lot that this game offers that one would be remiss to experience if that stopped them from trying out the game themselves. I had to stop myself from continuing to play the game when I was gathering footage for this video. There is seriously a lot of production value passionately put in by Ocean Drive Studios' first game. I am pleased with the game so far, and I'm actually excited to keep playing my playthrough of the game and finishing it. I won't spoil how many chapters there are, but for what it's worth, I'm 20-ish hours in and I'm only on chapter 10. So if I had to guess, there is still plenty more game to be played. I believe in this game, and I believe in the developers' willingness to improve what they have so far. So with that all being said, I am Fargast. Check out the game in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.